Okay, let's get this disclaimer out of the way. All right, pre-market movers. All information herein is for information purposes only, as pre-market movers is not registered as a securities broker dealer or an investment advisor. No information herein is intended as securities brokerage, investment, tax, accounting, or legal advice, or as an offer or solicitation of an offer to sell or buy, or as an endorsement, recommendation, or sponsorship of any company, security, or fund. Pre-market movers cannot and does not assess, verify, or guarantee the adequacy, accuracy, or completeness of any information, the suitability or profitability of any particular investment, or the potential value of any investment or informational source. The hearer bears responsibility for his or her own investment research and decisions. Okay, we are going to go ahead and kick it off over to the Kathy Gray. Good morning.
Everybody, it's your girl, D. Kathy Gray, the pre-market movers. It's Women's Wednesday and Takeover. That's what I gotta tell you. So I'm excited. So listen, guys, we're gonna talk about some things, not only that's gonna help you, but it's also going to help your family and your generation. So I want you to stay tuned. Do not log out, but I'm going to point it over to my girl, Jess, to introduce herself, and I'll come up on the rear.
Hey everybody, welcome to Women's Takeover, brought to you by the Pre-Market Movers. My name is Jess Davis. I am a career strategist. I am the founder and creator of Resume Badge, as well as one of the co-founders of the Pre-Market Movers. And we're excited to bring you today our Women's Takeover episode, our first episode on YouTube. So we're really excited to be here on this new platform. So you can definitely expect us here at least once a month, first Wednesday of every month. We'll be here with you guys, bringing you some new topics as well as some guests and our regular scheduled reports. So stay tuned. We're going to go ahead and get started. We have a great show for you guys today, an amazing guest, and our topic for today is life insurance. So I am going to hand it over to Kayla to introduce herself.
Look at that. Oh, mute. Hey, you guys. My name is Kayla, and I have Kayla's Corner here. So I like to help people find money, save money, start hustles, keep your sanity, all that sort of thing, and then roll all of your savings back into your stock portfolio and your legacy. So that is a little bit about me. Super excited to be here on YouTube now, and I am going to go ahead and roll it over to Lala.
Thank you. Hey guys, my name is Lala. Levels with Lala here. Hey, founder of the Grind Report. A little nervous, y'all, because this is face to face this time. Y'all know how it goes. Anyway, I am the charting specialist for the Pre-Market Movers. I'm really excited because this time you actually can see my charts. So I'm really excited for that segment. And I'm also excited to talk about life insurance. So that's it about me. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it on over to the Kathy Gray. Let's go, Kathy.
Hey guys, it's your girl, the Kathy Gray. I'm excited. Listen, we're just going to do something that's different. I know some people that asked me earlier what happened to your hair was straight. This is what happened when it rained, but past all that. So y'all listen, I got some stuff for y'all today. I want to tell you, I'm excited. I don't have my horn, but if I did, I'm like, bam, bam, hello somebody. It's your girl, D. Kathy Gray. Hey, I am the first cousin of the Pre-Market Movers. Listen, owner and CEO of Inside Purpose, and we are here day program. Listen, it is going to be an amazing show, but I want to tell you guys a few things I want you to think about. Have you thought about what would happen with your family if you pass today? Pass meaning you close your eyes and something tragedy happened. Number one, what would your family know what to do? Number two, would they be capable of bearing you? Number three, would they understand what happened and how to do the research? Number four, how do you understand what happened in the process? And then number five, What do you do next? That's what we're going to talk about today. But what I'm going to do is pass it over to Jess, so she can give us a little bit of things, a little about a resume badge herself and knowing what's going on in the job markets. Then we're going to just come back to me because you know your girl is going to motivate you. Hello, come on, Jess.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kathy. So let's dive into this job market report. We're going to see what's going on in the market this week, as well as some trends that we can anticipate coming up in the next couple of weeks, as well as this quarter. So if we look at the overall market, you know, we are new into 2023, a brand new fresh quarter. So a lot of changes are coming down the pipeline. We have new slates on the table. Okay, companies have new budgets, but also they're being more optimistic, but also a little bit cautious this year. So if we recall, last year was a little bit rocky. This year, we are starting off the year with the market very strong. January kicked off the year with a decline in the unemployment rate. So we went from 3.5% to 3.4%, but what was more astounding was that we saw 517,000 jobs added to the market this January, which was well above the expectations. And in addition, we not only saw the overall unemployment rate decrease, but we also saw a decline in the unemployment rate for persons with disabilities in 2022. Right now, sitting at about 7.6%, which the disability unemployment rate is known to be significantly higher than the general unemployment rate. But this is a significant decrease, as we saw 2.5% decline. So 10.1% to 7.6% is very significant. So that means a lot of these companies, these organizations are making gains to increase their their inclusion efforts, to also increase their accessibility efforts as well. So that is one notable thing that we have going on. I'm gonna share my screen with you guys so we can have a look at some of the notable layoffs that are going on within the tech sector, as well as some other things that we have going on as well. I'll share with you an opportunity or a resource that you guys can take advantage of if you're looking to pivot into something new this year. So I'll go ahead and share my screen and we'll dive into that. Oops. Awesome. All right, can you guys see this here?
Yes.
Okay, great. So if we look closely, what we are seeing, this is a resource that I typically use to have a look at the layoffs in the tech sector. So right now, for the year 2023, we are sitting at over 120,000 layoffs within the industry in 2023 alone. Last year, 2022, we rounded off with about 154,000 layoffs in the tech sector. That's when we first started seeing the decline within the market, as well as some of these companies making changes to adjust their overhead. So right now we have 425 companies that have experienced layoffs that have impacted 120,323 people in this industry this year. Some notable layoffs that we can have a look and see what's coming down the pipeline. We see Twitter recently announced that they are having another round of layoffs. 200 people were recently laid off from Twitter. We also have Palantir, another notable company, just laid off 75 people on the 27th of February. Ericsson, formerly Sony Ericsson, also 8,500 people this just recently, as well as SAP Labs, 300 people. So we do have a lot going on in the market here that is going to, unfortunately, impact a number of people. We also saw some notable layoffs within the media sector, and I'll dive into that shortly. So right now, what we're seeing within the media industry, a number of notable layoffs here as well. So we are seeing companies like National Public Radio, also known as NPR, 100 people, about 10% of their workforce has been impacted. Disney recently laid off 7,000 people, so 3% of their workforce. We also have Gannett, which is the parent company of publications like USA Today, just released 600 people back into the job market, approximately 6% of their workforce. So not only is the tech sector being impacted, we do also have the media industry that is also taking a hit right now as well. But like I always say, you know, the market is going to make a bounce back. In the meantime, there are still sectors, there are still industries and companies that are still very much actively hiring. You have healthcare as well as e-commerce and manufacturing that are still holding strong, as well as consulting. Client-facing consulting roles that are hanging on very strong as well. So moving on, wanted to share with you guys a quick opportunity. If you're interested in pivoting into the tech sector and upskilling, this is an opportunity that you can have a look at. This is the ACE Multi-Cloud Network Associate course, where you can learn how to navigate multi-cloud platforms. And this course is $845 on the platform. But if you use this coupon code that I discovered, and this is not sponsored by ACE, but ACE, if you do want to sponsor us, give us a call. ACE Multi-Cloud, one word, ACE Multi-Cloud will give you 100% off of this multi-cloud program. So definitely have a look at that. That's my opportunity for the day. And we're going to move on. We have, again, an action-packed show, and I'm gonna give the mic over to the Kathy Gray, who's gonna give us our
I actually wanted to interrupt real quick because
yes.
you know, one thing we didn't mention just yet was that it's Women's History Month for March. So yay to us. And so I just wanted to like throw in like a quick history fact. And did you know that the 19th Amendment, even though it was ratified, well, it was signed into law in 1920, it wasn't until 1965 that all women could legally vote. So that's my little history tidbit for the moment. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it on over to you, Kathy.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. But before I give you guys your motivational, I want to share my screen. I want to show you guys something. Just can I share my screen real quickly? I want to show you guys something real quickly. Okay, she's going to set it to where I can share it. Right click, you see it? Can I share now? Okay, now, thank you. I'll give it back to you. So I want you guys to see this. I'm a little excited about. I want you guys to see, there you go. That is my book cover. I'm having a launch party, so I will let you guys know. I'm kind of just really, really excited. They got a lot of things happening. So I will be doing a book signing at Barnes and Noble. So, woo! That's all I can say is, woo! Listen, hey, it's your girl, the Kathy Gray. Let me tell you something. One thing I've learned in life, let me give it back to you, Jess. Give me 1 second. Stop sharing. Give me
well, Kathy, where can we find your book?
Okay, give me 1 second. The where you can actually find my book is actually on my website. And my website is www.thecathygray.com, baby. Yes, she owns it. So I'm excited. Yes. So I want to tell you guys something. A journey is exactly what it is. So today I want to tell you guys, being on a journey does not mean it happens instantly. I think it's in chapter 16 in my book, Day 16, it talks about running the race. And I think I've told you guys, it doesn't matter if you're at the front of the line or at the back of the line. The object is you gotta cross it. I've been through so many obstacles. My son committed suicide. I had to do my brother's funeral. We just lost a cousin last night, and I'm having my aunties just diagnosed with cancer. Now I got to preach her funeral. Let me tell you something. None of that stopped me. But what I did, I was persistent in staying in the race. What do you mean persistent, Kathy? Persistent means you're going to go regardless of what comes in front of you. It's almost dropping the baton and seeing everyone pass you by. It's not the fact that you drop the baton. What makes you a genius at what you're doing is that you pick that baton up and you started back running again. It's okay to drop things in life and go back and pick it back up. That's exactly what I've done in my life. Going here, going there. I never gave up. Stay persistent. Stay on what you're doing. Promise yourself, no matter what goes on in your life, remember, I'm going to be the best me that I can be, because nobody was ever created outside of me. That's why I believe I was created to be who I am. Staying persistent, whether you agree or disagree. I have learned every time something comes in front of me that causes me to stumble, all that's doing is slowing me down. Let me say that again. I rewinded it. Whenever you are in a race and you stumble does not mean you're falling. Stumble is slowing you down, because now you got to look back to see where you come from. So if you don't have a look back in your life, that'll preach, y'all. If you don't have a look back in your life, how do you know where you're going? Just look over your shoulder. Come on, do it again. Look over your other shoulder. Because every time you're able to look back, you've seen where you came from. So what's in front of you, baby? Glory. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. That finish line, that's what it is. And that's what I want you guys to remember. In order to cross the finish line, remember, you got to look back to see where you come from. Listen, that's all I have to say today. I want you to be reminded, love yourself regardless. Love yourself when people don't. Understand that when you wake up in the morning, it's a whole new day. And that's all that matters. Listen, I'm your girl, D. Kathy Gray. As I always say, Lala, if no one told you today to love you, guess what? I love you, and I really do mean it. Be blessed, take care of yourself, and have a good day. Goodbye.
Period. Goodbye.
Yes, I love it with the goodbye. And we get to see it this time.
Goodbye.
I can't stop cheesing, y'all. Okay, so I have another fact for y'all. So, okay, did you know that women couldn't get credit cards on their own until 1974? So when you think about it, that actually wasn't that long ago. Until Congress passed the Equal Credit Opportunity Act of 1974, women couldn't get credit cards in their own name. They had to bring a man along to co-sign for them. Legal work done by the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg laid the foundation for the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, as well as many other basic rights women have today, including the ability to attend state-funded schools, protection from pregnancy discrimination at work, and the ability to serve on juries, according to USA Today. So that's my other little fact. And now I'm going to share my screen. I have to get that from you, Jess, so that I can share my screen with you guys. And
Kathy, are you able to pass the hosting? Yeah, Kathy, you would have to pass the hosting to Lala.
oh,
So go to the participants. Okay.
Yep. There we go. Hold on, Lala.
okay,
There we go.
relearning. Hopefully y'all don't hear my kids in the
No, there you go.
back.
I actually own the same version. It's just, this one is over here. I'm like clicking. There you go, Lala.
Okay, I got it. Oh wait, which one is it? No.
It's at the bottom of your screen. Share screen, green arrow pointing
Yeah,
up.
I'm trying to find the right window. I had too many windows.
So if you have
Okay.
it open up on your screen, you open up the window, then it'll pop up to the top right.
Okay, y'all see that, right?
Yes. Woo!
Right.
Levels.
Okay, so
Come on, Sean!
Come on.
all right, I know we went on over the Dow earlier, but just because like we can see screens, we're just gonna look at it a little bit, just really quickly. But again, we're still under this 200 here. You see that there's a lot of weakness going on. This, I believe, is a strong support here at this 326. So seeing where it goes from there, but the next level is about 325.75. And then 325 even. You guys see how I'm doing that? I'm using Wix. This is the strat. So y'all get to see that live. That's how I get these actual levels, 325. So we're really looking for about 325 next on the Dow. But you basically see that the range that it was in up here, we've broken down. This range right here that we're in, we're breaking down from there. So We're just targeting these levels to the left. All right, so that's the Dow and the NASDAQ. This also hasn't really done a whole lot. As you can see, this candle is what we call a doji. It's an indecision candle. But basically the resistance is still this 200. So that's 12,158, 158. That's the next resistance that I'm looking for the NASDAQ to either reject from or break through. And then it can hit 12,223. Otherwise, the support here is about 12,033, and then we're looking for 11,900. All right, and so the VIX, now we have been watching the VIX because it's been in a downtrend. When you zoom out, you can see it's been in a downtrend, but it's kind of broken out, rejected, and came back in. So now we're looking to see if the VIX is going to hold right here or if it's going to break back out. If it breaks back out, you know that the indices are going to be green. If it continues to find weakness, if it breaks out, the indices are going to be red. And if it continues to break down, then the indices will be, I'm saying that wrong. If it breaks up, the indices will be red. If it breaks down, the indices will be green. I think I'm saying that right, y'all. Anyway. All right, so that's the VIX. Looking at Microsoft. So last time we talked, we were really right here. And as you can see, we've done nothing but really chop in this area. What I was telling you guys before so that you can visualize it was that I saw a head. There's the head right here. Here's your shoulder, your head, and this is your shoulder area. So that shoulder area that I told you about on Monday is really from about this 248 to, it really could go all the way up to this gap, 262 area. So it could bounce in this area before it falls, or this right here could be its shoulder and then it can fall. So 248 is my next support. Then you got 245 and about 243. So I'm giving these levels on the daily chart. Hopefully y'all can see that. I usually start the week with the weekly, but because we do this on Wednesday and then I come right back on Thursday, I want to give you closer targets. So that's why we're looking at it on the daily charts. So that's what we got from Microsoft. Apple, kind of similar to Microsoft. Again, it hasn't done anything. So we're still sitting in a chop area on a lot of these indices where it's kind of making a shoulder area. You got a head, and then it's making a shoulder. So this bounce area is going to be in between right around 145 to about 151, 150, 150, 150. That's the shoulder area that Apple can bounce in between before it drops, or I really don't see this bouncing from here, especially as long as we stay under this 200, which is right here at 147.50. So that's the level to watch. Qs is the same thing. Your chop area is going to be between 290 to 200 at 296, and then your shoulder top is this gap 302. All right, and then last but not least, SPY. SPY looks the weakest out of all of them to me. You can still also see this shoulder, head, shoulder. This little area could suffice as a shoulder area. If it does want to continue to, or if it does want to bounce from here, it needs to break this 400. And if you notice, since we talked on Monday, it sort of washed above it, like I said, and then came right back below. So that's going to be the area to really watch. I really think it's going to continue to be a magnet. Like I was saying on Monday, if you see back here, that's kind of what it did. It bounced right around there. So we might look for it to do the same. Otherwise, if that's going to be a good resistance, then the next support is 393. It's a strong support for SPYs, 393. And then we can look for 388, 387, and 385. Then this chop area, 380. All right. And then really quickly, I'm going to show y'all something. Just want to show y'all on the week, the month on SPY. Remember on Monday, I was mentioning to everybody that we're starting to see shooters on the month. See it on Microsoft as well. See this shooter. So you're looking to see these bears are in control right now. So basically tomorrow even starts the new month. If it breaks under that 393, then before the month is out, we can look for it to possibly get to about that 380, which if you look on the daily, sorry.
Paula, do you mean tomorrow as today, Wednesday?
Oh, today. I'm sorry. I meant to say today. Yes.
That's okay.
First day of the month. Yes.
I
But
was like, wait.
380.
I was like, what? What's going on?
Wednesday.
Thank you. Thank you, Candy.
But this is the 380 area, yeah, that I'm mentioning with the month. So yes, if that month shooter goes in effect and we see some more downside, we can target this area down here. So that's actually all I have for y'all.
Amazing.
See if I can go back. How do I go back? Oh wait.
What, you want to go back to your
There it
screen?
is.
There it is. It's at the top.
Thanks. Nope. Okay, wait. How do you stop? Oh, there it goes. Stop share.
There, yeah.
All righty.
And you want to give it to Kayla. Now you want to pass it to
All
Kayla.
right. Yes, I am going to pass it on over to my girl Kayla to see what
KK.
has for us today. Let me pass the hosting as well.
Guess I can't say past Cavassier, right?
Yeah. Yes, you can.
We're home, right? Hey, did you pass it? Is it mine? All right. So, you guys, I have something exciting for you since we are talking about all types of insurance and stuff like that. A couple of things that we want to go over and make sure of is different steps to your estate planning. That's going to be, I'm going to give you guys 6 different steps that you need to take and then go into detail. And the good thing about being on YouTube is whenever I share my screen, you guys will actually be able to see each of the slides and all of the resources in person. And it's not just like a cute tweet at the top. So yes, one of them first, I have this cute little article. Hold on, I can share my screen for, I'm gonna start my screen sharing now and we're gonna read this and then I'll go into it. This is just a really cute article that I like. Where is it? Here it is. Y'all know, here we go. Can y'all see this okay? Yes. Yeah, y'all see my egg article? All right, look at that. So y'all know I got these chickens, right? So I love this article that came out in January because it's talking about like the different eggs and the inflation and stuff like that. And like, I feed my chickens very, very well, right? I mean, I even love making like their scratch food anytime. We actually give the chickens more of our stuff that should probably be going into the compost because I'm realizing now while I'm getting all my garden stuff out that my compost isn't where it needs to be. So we're getting it there. But yes, with this, I like this because this is just giving you kind of a rundown. Like, look at this graph. This is one thing that was shocking for me. So this was eggs, 2020 with COVID. And then this is the most recent study as of December 2022, 137% inflation, 137%. And on top of that, these are commercial eggs, right? So it's not like exactly 100% what's going in them. All that to say, these are one of the things that, if you want to save money, a good way to save money is to learn a new hobby. When I got these chickens, I don't know when we got them. Lord knows when we got them. Who knows? Like a year or so ago. Then I didn't know what they were. I didn't have a chicken before in my life. Now I had farms, but no chickens, right? So with this, whenever I was sitting there looking at it, I was like, I don't know what to do with chickens, but then it was something I learned. And then I'm glad I learned it because now fast forward, look at the money I'm saving. We go out there. This morning, my daughter got 16 eggs. So you'll see in this presentation, you'll get to see some pictures of my chickens and then you get to see the pictures of their eggs. And today we're actually outside and the girls were playing basketball and they were, the chickens, we let a few of them roam out, So what we actually did was, we have 13 chickens and we have to let them out in batches. And then you'll see the chickens roaming in the yard and then they have free range and all that. So I know my eggs are good. All that to say, you may not be able to have chickens. You may be in a apartment high rise in New York. I don't know. So you got to find something that can work for you. Another thing that I like and that I'm doing, and know you guys said, or I know I mentioned a lot that I like to find new hustles. something I'm learning is like a green thumb. So I've already started seeds. I have a bunch of seeds upstairs that me and the girls started. We went to Walmart. We got all these seeds. So we already started all the seeds. I know Kathy loves gardens. And so we got all our seeds out. And then like you can take these things, you can get little plastic cups from the dollar store, y'all. And I'm about to get to my presentation. Sorry. You can take little plastic cups from the dollar store, put some soil in there. I actually make my own soil because I like a mix of a couple of things, perlite, Coca-Cola, a couple of things. So I'll make my own soil and put it in a big tote anyway. And so put the seeds in there and you can start seeds. And then whenever they start sprouting, you can buy a lamp on Amazon for what, $20? Then people buy these. Like people don't want to start seeds. They don't
That's
want
what I do. I grow my own herbs and I have my little lamp, like
right?
herbs in years.
Yep, exactly. And so it's just like things like that. It's like, how simple is that? You just buy what, $40? If you want to get fancy, you can buy like a $60 light from Amazon. And then it is so simple. You can even use your window if you want to, but based on my like research, a light is better. And then you can sell those puppies, right? A pack of seeds is like 50 cents. And then you get more than one. So by the time you grow those and sell them, people are willing to pay, $2 right now for seedlings that are a couple of leaves tall, right? And then on top of that, if you keep growing them, right, they pay more. Like as the season goes and they start going, the bigger the plant, the bigger the money. So anyway. Okay, you guys, let's go ahead and get into basic steps in estate planning. Again, these are very basic steps. Do your own homework, do your own due diligence. This is just something I hope will get you kind of started in the right direction and going in this in estate planning so that we can protect your legacy, okay? So first, we want to take inventory of all of your assets, right? We want to make sure that we're taking note and logging everything, all of your assets. That's including real estate, investments, retirement accounts, personal property, digital assets, you name it. If you can think about it, put it on paper, because not just for when you pass, but like insurance purposes, right? Like whether you maybe, you have a natural disaster or something like that. Like you should already have a lot of these things written down anyway. So, but I do know it's one of the things that we can forget to do, especially if you're a busy homeowner or whatever. But you just need to make sure this is something that you're on top of. So this is your kind of reminder to do that. So we want to make sure that we're taking inventory of our assets here. Next thing we want to consider is an executor. So whenever we go to start doing estate planning, we want to figure out who we're going to leave in charge when we're no longer in charge, right? Or if we're no longer able to fulfill the duties or whatever the case may be. So who is the executor? So we want to see who that's going to be. And we want to make sure we make note of that. Also want to make sure that you communicate with that person, right? Like don't just put them down and never communicate with them to let them know that they're the executor, because that's also a big responsibility. So make sure we take care of, make sure you communicate that with them. Another thing you want to make sure you do is create a will. So whenever you pass, or maybe you might, or not, even if you don't pass, you might have other things going on. There's different types of wills. So you want to make sure that you do your research, because there are several different types of wills. I'd be lying to you if I said I knew all of them, or if, I knew a lot about them. I actually have a company, and one of our community members, I know that he's a part of it as well. He owns it. We can talk with him a little bit later, maybe, is Legal Shield. So I've been with them for years. I was with them before they changed their name to Legal Shield. But they helped me create my will, and then I just update it yearly with them. So it's something that once you create it and you continue to update it, you need to get that first initial groundwork done, just to make sure you plan how everything's going to be distributed. Let's say you're like, I don't care what happens to my stuff. Don't leave that burden for others, right? Just if you don't care what happens, then just put that in writing. Just say, I don't care what happens. And that way it relieves the burden off of that other person, because now they're like, oh my gosh, what if they wanted this? What if they wanted this? And now they can't ask you. So make sure you think about things like that. And then I'm going to move on quickly here because we have a jam-packed show. Next, we're going to look at heavily considering a trust, right? So heavily consider a trust. Now, a trust is basically what I like to refer to in my brain, which helps me understand a little bit better. It's kind of like a personal bank. So it's like, all of your stuff is held there. Like a vault, I guess is a better word. Personal vault. That's the word I was looking for. So it's like all of your stuff is held there, right? And then there's different ways and I can't give all the tea because we have other things coming up, like other classes and that sort of thing. But because as Ken says, the game is to be sold and not told, but I'm learning that. So anyway, heavily consider a trust. Do your researches again, because there are tons and tons of types out there. So make sure you do your research on that as well. But trusts are amazing. They greatly benefit you. I have talked to Lala on the back end, and she is working on something dealing with trust. It's amazing. You can also check out her YouTube. She has, her, her YouTube, but also her TikTok. She just did a great TikTok. She has 10,000 followers. Yay. All right, I'm gonna get back, y'all. Scatterbrained. So yes, definitely check out Lala with her TikTok, because she also talks about, quick steps with getting a trust as well. So love a trust. Next, plan for the unknown. You never know what's going to happen. We didn't know COVID was going to happen. We didn't know we were going to be, out of work and shut down. A lot of people lost loved ones. So we don't know what's going to happen. So let's plan for the unknown. I was a part of, my brother died suddenly. He was killed. And it was just like, we didn't know. He didn't have a will. He didn't have a trust. He didn't have anything. He was in great shape. So it's just like, it was hard, right? Then I took on the kind of responsibility of like planning everything and that sort of stuff, but he didn't have any of this. And you don't want to, like we mentioned, you don't want to be grieving and having to take on this burden as well. So yeah, just make sure we plan for the unknown. And that could be anything from like a power of attorney, saying, hey, this person's going to make my financial decisions and my medical decisions, or this is the finance, or this is the medical, or whatever, however you want to lay it out. Just get with someone that you trust, and get your questions answered so that you can plan for the unknown. All right. And then lastly, review, change, and update. So when we're doing estate planning, it's not a one-time thing. Like, it's not just like, oh, blah, blah, blah. All right, cool. We're going to set it up. We're done in 2023 and I don't have to do anything else, because that's, are you just assuming that you're not going to, acquire any more wealth? No, we want you to acquire more wealth. We want you to get more things. We want you to level up, right? We want you to increase your wealth and your net worth. So when you're doing that, you also want to make sure that you're adding those things back into your trust, back into your estate planning. So that's where the reviewing comes in. And you may not need to update it every year, right? You may not need to update it every 2 years, but make sure you're reviewing it, just to make sure. You would rather review it and be like, nope, I'm good, check that off. Kind of like you review your medical insurance every year. Just review it, make sure you're good. I've kept my same coverage on medical insurance for like 5 years, but I always go look at it. I'm like, all right, it can roll over, right? So just make sure things haven't changed in your life. Some may need it every year, some may need it every 3 to 5 years. And then anytime you have a life event, you want to make sure that you review your estate plan as well. So, a baby, you move, buy a new property, any type of stuff like that, medical, any type of stuff like that, you want to make sure you review your estate plan and then make any changes or updates as needed. Okay. And then lastly, I have a couple of resources for you guys. One of them is Everplans. Now, Everplans is a digital estate planning platform that I really like. They also have an app, very straightforward. Just kind of click, answer button, or answer, click, just basic questions. And then they have a paid version as well, where you can really get detailed and kind of plan out a lot of different aspects. So that's one of my favorite resources, the Everplans, when it comes to these type of estate planning. Next, Policy Genius. Now, Policy Genius allows you, as you can see it right here, Policy Genius allows you to go into a huge insurance marketplace basically, and compare different types of insurance, whether it's life, auto, home, disability, those are the big ones. But then you also have like renters, every type of insurance. You just go there and you can compare them. You can put in your basic information and what you're looking for, and then you can compare all of these different types of insurance and then see the best rate or the quote that works best for you. Okay. And then lastly, this one over here on the right is Empower. I'm familiar with Empower because my employer actually partners with them for our retirement plan, actually. And I think they've always been partnered with them. I don't know. When you've been with companies for a while, you forget. But yeah, I think they've always partnered with them, but they are very helpful. You can go online, create a free account, and you can actually get your net worth. So you can go in there, and maybe some people are like, you ever answer this question, like, what are your net worth? You're like, I don't know. I used to not know for a long time, right? And then you can go somewhere like this, and then you can actually get it looked up for free. So that's really good. I love that. And then they have assistance. They have different plans, of course, and all that sort of thing. So I love their customer service. They're quick. I love their hours. Like, they answer the phone. I've never had to wait on hold long. So those are things that, like, I find important, because when I'm trying to do stuff with all of the stuff I have going on, when I'm trying to do stuff, I want to make sure that I'm able to get somebody quick, fast, and hurry, right? So that is all I have for you today. Let me go ahead and let's see who I'm supposed to pass it to. Give me 1 second. All right, so I am going to pass it back over to, I think, Kathy. Let me make sure I am following the rules here. Yep, back over to Kathy. Kathy?
Okay, guys, yes, it's your pre-market movie show. It's your girl, the Kathy Gray, got just the resume badge, levels from Lala and KK herself. Listen, she brought up some real good things. Everybody know that I'm one of those people that is excited when it comes to gardening. And Kayla, you said something that's very important. What I do is I use my natural light in my window in my kitchen. And if you go to Home Depot, they got these little tiny seed pods, and you have to be careful. If you start planting them in January and it takes 3 months, they'll sprout within 30 days. And Kayla brought up something that's very important. You guys can actually do a garden in your garage. All you need is like a crate or a big tub, and your plants will grow. All you got to do is slide it out in the morning and then slide it back in the evening. And you can actually grow your vegetables in your garage. So everybody know it's summertime. Your girl's about to get her nails all dirty. And I enjoy doing that. But you have to learn how to make things work for yourself. And that's exactly what we're doing. Lala, get ready. We're going to pull up a few tickers in a few minutes, but we're going to go ahead and go into the insurance segment. So our guest this evening, she wants to talk about some different things. Well, we want to talk about different life insurance. And one thing I wanted to talk to people about, why is it important to have life insurance and how does it work? We decided to pick this topic because we're finding so too often that people that actually have insurance or don't have insurance, we're finding that they are actually, what's the word? Having to sell dinners. We don't want to do that, but that's called pre-needs. So today, as soon as we get her on, we're going to end up talking about why you need insurance, why Lala grabbed a few tickets for us to look at, why we get insurance, why is it important, why should I pay the premium, and the question is, do you want to leave something for your children? Lala, I know you can chime in on this. This is something that we've always talked about, is generational wealth. Your insurance can be your stocks, your insurance can be your savings, your insurance can be your home, but until you get that together, none of it exists. Because number one, I was in a session this past weekend, and one question I want to ask someone from the Social Security: if I've been paying 500 years into Social Security, why are we still broke if I'm gone? Think about it. If our parents has passed on, our parents' parents have passed on, what happened to that money? Has anybody ever asked that question or thought about it? Lala?
Yeah, and a lot of us, or a lot of our parents, didn't know any better, especially about life insurance. We look at it as, oh, it's expensive, but a lot of people don't even know some things, like J.C. Penney started the company using his life insurance. Disney started Disney World using life insurance. It's actually a savings component that also protects you and can pay your beneficiaries death benefits tax-free. And it's something that we just really don't know about. And it's different kinds, our guests will be able to talk about it, but, I really think it's important that we understand how important it is to help our loved ones, especially when we pass, so that they don't have to deal with, whatever issues, whatever debts, whatever, any of those things. But it also is a wealth building device, because, when you use cash value life insurance and you build equity, like, you can borrow against it. And, if I had known about that at 20, and, at 20, of course, you're not thinking about getting life insurance. You're like, I'm not thinking about death. I'm 20 years old.
You can live forever, remember?
Right. Not thinking that, oh, if I get it now at 20, though, in 20 years and I paid on it, I can borrow against the equity on that and buy a house or buy
Hey,
a
you
car.
know what I found out something? Did you not know, like me and my husband's life insurance, we this would be 19 years we've had it. It goes for me 36, him 56, to mine goes to 896 and his 986. Have anybody ever thought about why they did it? I'm not gonna say it on here, but that is a scam because it doesn't let you add to it. You got to literally start all over.
Mm, mm,
Think about it. Think about it.
mhm.
You got to start because it's like we got to start over, or you pay the 890 some dollars a month. That's why they say it's best you get it when you're young. I didn't
Mm.
mean to cut you off, but you was going down that path.
Oh yeah,
But
no, you're right.
but that's crazy. I'm sorry, Lala. Sorry.
No, no, you're fine. You're fine. I mean, you're right. It is definitely better to get it when you're young, because
Real
it's
young.
definitely cheaper. You
Yeah.
know.
Because I can tell you something that happened with one of my gentlemen I lost. You know, everybody know I work with adults with disability. They live with me full time, and we have been paying on let's call him G. We've been paying on G's insurance probably 4 or 5 years. He had pre-existing issues, and they knew, and we signed it, did all the paperwork. Do you not know they only gave us what we paid in and said, oh, we can't pay it out because this was wrong with him, that was wrong with it. But we got the original documentation. We went to a lawyer, and the lawyer said because they had a clause in, it says to their right. And I'm like, what? To their right means they can decide to pay it out or give you what you paid. So imagine paying $60 times 60. So we only got less than $3,000 back. But it was what we paid in over 4 years. Do you really believe that's fair? But the policy was listed as $60,000 worth of insurance.
Mm,
So the question is, how many people are out there going through the same process and don't know?
and
And I think that's why today this show is going to be, this is Women Wednesday, and I believe this show is going to be the show that's not only going to open up your eye, but it's going to make you think different. Back in your hands, Lala.
yeah.
Wait, I'm gonna say something. So
I'm
just
sorry. Kayla. Kayla.
um, no. So what I was gonna say is, Lala's right, and from somebody close to this happened. Like I know Kathy as well. Like whenever my brother passed, I think he passed in 20. I don't know. The year should start running after 2022. So I believe it was 2021 that he passed. I don't know if it's 2021, 2022. Anyway, so in 2021 when he passed, um, it was like he wasn't thinking about life insurance. He was born in 1981. Right, he was. I mean, 1986.
That was 2 years ago.
1986, right? So he was like 34. He started his own nonprofit, right? He was traveling the world. He was single. He ain't have no kids, right? He had started his own profit a few years prior. I think he had had it for 4 years, and then after that, he actually started another not nonprofit, a personal training business because he did a lot of yoga, and his nonprofit taught kids in the inner city yoga and that sort of thing. And being a nonprofit, it wasn't like he was bringing in millions of dollars at 34 years old. So he had to have the other personal training job. But all throughout it, he never thought, like, he was making moves, doing his legacy, all of that. He never thought that he would be killed, right? Like, he never thought that at 34. Nobody's thinking that. And then it's even worse at that point because nobody has an estate. There was no estate planning. We had to fight with Jersey. My mom is emotional. She's the only one who can do it. We were estranged from our father. So then at that point, we got to put ads in newspaper. So it's just like all while mourning my brother. So it's like to say that this is something that our community needs to get a hold of, like 400 years ago, is an understatement. So that's all I got.
Wow. But so I agree with that. And it's interesting that we as people, and unfortunate people of color, we don't think about that. We see a GoFundMe, we see fried chicken dinners, we see catfish dinners. We're asking for donations. And I don't think we should. There's a difference from paying $45 a month than to $385 a month. Like my children, they've been in life insurance since they was born. But you need to go back and read your policies because I'm finding that I can't name the name, but it starts with the little G with a little baby on it. You better go back and read that policy Because even though you get it at when they're born, it says 25 years and it says continue, you can pass over. It doesn't tell you what that I call it the flip the market price. They don't tell you that. So you paying just $1 a day or $25 a month. That thing is multiplied times a whole bunch. I'm gonna say it like that. Go back and do your research, and that's how we can get it. Sorry, Kayla.
Yeah, no, what I was saying, you just actually teed me up perfectly for that. As far as like, go back and do your research. If you remember in the presentation that I just did, there was a few websites in there. One of them was Everplans, and in the Everplans website, that's where you can go and kind of do some organize all your stuff. Right, it's all digital. You gives you step by step, all of that. So, and then on top of that, you have another resource in there. If you guys remember the Empower one, and so that's going to also help with some estate planning. So further, whenever you go in and do all of these type of estate planning things, it's just like what she said, like making sure you read your policy, getting your kids, inside of things earlier, because my kids have always been insured, but through my job. And don't be cheap. Like, I want to be like, don't be cheap. My life insurance for my kids is like the basic policy that they give you is like, okay, $100,000 a kid, or even with me, my life insurance, okay, but then I can pay $1 a paycheck and get $1 million policy. I was like, max that baby out, right? So if anything happens to me, I know they're set up, right? They don't have to worry about, not just my funeral expenses, but anything after that. What if I didn't get to buy them a car? What if I didn't get to buy them a house, right? Because, these are things I'm not the mom who buys my kids cell phones at, 9, 10, and 11. I'm going to buy you a house, right? Like, what you for? First of all, y'all, you shouldn't be nowhere without an adult. And adults better have a phone, right? That's the first thing. Second thing, you have an iPad. Furthermore, in this day and age, you better not be knowing no Wi-Fi. Why are you out in the streets with no Wi-Fi?
No, seriously.
So those are two things. So you can either have an iPad or an iPod. There was no reason you need a cell phone. Now with my kids, also another thing I do, you can get a bill when you can pay for the bill. You want a cell phone? You got cell phone bill money? Just like we said, you got McDonald's money? You got cell phone bill money? So, and it was like, oh, well, I can get a free phone. All right, cool. What about that monthly payment? And then on top of that, they're like, oh, well, I got $50 for my birthday. I need to have 12 months in advance. I don't care. Look, set up a Kool-Aid stand. I don't care what you got to do, right? Like, I don't care what you got to do, right? Be my assistant. So yes, it's just, and then you funnel all of that, right? Like you just funnel all of that in and just making sure your kids are definitely taken care of. But then we also have the other resource that I was mentioning, the Policy Genius. So the Policy Genius, you guys remember from the slideshow, also goes through, the different policies and helps you pick auto, home, life, all of that other stuff. So yeah, don't be cheap. Like actually read the policy, right? And if it costs $2 more to max out, why not max out? Okay, so that's my 2 cents.
I think this is a great reset moment. And then I guess Kathy said she wanted a few stocks. I didn't prepare any, but I guess I can go look at a couple. But before we reset, I did want to throw another history fact in there. Did you know that Aretha Franklin was the first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1987? And she's known for her rendition of Otis Redding's Respect and songs of her own, like You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman. She was also involved in civil rights activism and performed at Barack Obama's inauguration in 2009. So over to you, Jess, for a reset.
That was a great fact, my soror. I love that for her. Thank you so much, everyone, for tapping in with us for our first ever YouTube episode of Women's Takeover, aka Women's Wednesday with the PreMarket Movers. We are your hostess with the mostest. I am Jess. We have your girl Levels with Lala. We also have the Kathy Gray and Kayla's Corner here with us today. So thank you for joining us. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe so we can always keep in touch with you, and you can tap in anytime we upload some new content, some new videos for you guys. few church announcements. You guys know we love taking it to church over here. If you are a member of our Pre-Market Movers community, and if you're not, what are you waiting for? Just like and subscribe and make sure that you keep tabs with us. We are having our mastermind in Atlanta, so definitely make sure that you tap in with that. Check out our websites, the premarketmovers.com, to be able to get your tickets and also learn a little bit more about us. And we have some discount codes as well. So tap in with your favorite speaker today. We all have an individual code that will get you some savings. So pick your fighter. Okay. We have resume 50. Okay. We have Kayla 50 over here. We also have levels 50, and then we have Kathy 50. So pick your fighter. Who you with? Who you with? So we hope to see you guys June 8th through the 10th in Atlanta. Looking forward to tapping in with you. We're going to have action-packed couple days with you guys. We're going to share some resources, some insights on the markets, all the markets, and you'll definitely have plenty of opportunity to connect and network with us as well. So definitely make sure that if you're not following us, you're not connected with us, that you keep in touch. We love to connect with our community, and we are going to be definitely doing more of this, and we're looking forward to connecting with you guys in the future. So we're going to keep this reset tight and right today. We're going to keep it pushing, and we're going to transition next to, who goes next?
Kathy Gray.
Kathy Gray.
Yes. Yeah. So
I thought you went already.
well, no, because what we're doing is we're still talking about the things about life insurance. And I kind of like the way we were going, but I want to share what I know personally about life insurance. Life insurance helps your family with the death benefit of ensuring that they get paid out, and you have to leave some form of instructions. And I believe Kayla spoke about that earlier. Your beneficiaries. One thing that my brother did, and I'm glad he took my advice. I mean, I'm not that smart, but I'm smart enough to know that if you're going to leave anything to a child and they are children, is that you put a stop gap, if you want to say that, or you want to put a cushion in there that my niece could not touch her life insurance policy until she turned 18 years old. The problem with that, as I told him, it should have been, well, my children, their policies were set up. They could not take it until they was 25 with a bachelor's degree. If they didn't have a bachelor's degree, they couldn't get their money until they was 30. So my kids stressed out big time. But I lived past that, thank you, Jesus. But you got to realize, if you are setting up something like that, those are things you got to take in consideration. Then you need to make sure they understand about the payout benefit and the life insurance. When you give it to a funeral home, they will begin to gouge you. And people that are young professionals, do not go in and put yourself in debt, because student credit cards and stuff like that will go against your policy. And like my children, none of them have children except for my youngest daughter. And all their policies, I'm the beneficiary of. Always make your home parent that person. And I say that because if the parents are the one that's in charge, if you have that relationship, I think that's how you should do it. But if not, you choose your own. But in my home, I am the policy holder for everybody. And then lastly, before I pass it over to Lala or Kayla, either one, is that if you are retired and you are retired to where you're beyond the age of thinking you're going to pay something different, you can get something what they call a pre-needs, which is what we did with my mother-in-law. I think she was 77 years old, where we paid on her burial only. And that's something that's definitely affordable. But you got to get this in your mind, guys. I cannot express it enough, because if I see another GoFundMe, Barry Pookie them cousin, or Chanel or Nancy J, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Don't send me no fried dinner. Can you donate? Because you have plenty of time. And the problem with that is we don't. I don't want no fish plate. But I'm just saying, to bury people, you have ample of time. And honesty, transparency, it's not fair to the family. for them to struggle. Because when my son passed, I knew I had $20,000 policy on him. I knew it. I knew what I was going to spend. The difference was going to go to his children. And his policies was set up that since my grandkids was 14 and 13 or 14 and 12, no one could touch it till they turned 19. So my granddaughter just got her money, and I'm all in her head, what you doing? Tell me what we're doing. Well, grandma, what we're doing, or I will snatch you. So and you need to put that in place. People say, well, they're gonna need the money. No, you're not. Because transparency in our family, when my niece was giving that money, my sister tried to bogart the policy. I'm like, are you serious? It was a tight, and we just pretty much watched her, because you can't have people like, well, I got to take care of the kids, and if their parents died. So I'm gonna tell y'all, if you lose a parent and the child is there, the state by law, Social Security will pay that person to take care of that child. And I think it's like $458 is when they got it, and then it went up to, I think it's like 7 something now, depending on what it is your area. But that's what I'm an expertise in, and knowing what I know that happened to my family. So I'm giving you information based off of what I know that pertains to me. Do your own research, DDD, do due diligence, because if you don't, you did diligent out. Okay, passing it over to Levels. See what you got.
Oh, give it to me. All right.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That girl right there.
All right. Yeah, right here. All right.
Okay, give me daps. Give me daps.
I don't know. No,
just give me daps.
The family. All right. So yes. So I don't know if I can spill the beans, but I think Lala, if she can edit this out if you don't want me to say. But Lala's working on something about a trust, right? Because we talked that she needs to talk about some things, but it's not today. It's like later. She'll tell you whatever. So with that, exactly what Kathy said, a trust is where everything should be housed. Now, I'm no expert. I'm just talking, right? So a trust is, for what I know, everything should be housed, right? And then under that trust, you can have your LLCs, you can have your S corps, you can have whatever your heart desires. And then just protect everything in that. You have your house, you have your second house, you have your $1 million house, you have your island, whatever, right? But the big thing with that, you have your business, because my brother never had that. When he passed away, he never had that. So his businesses are gone. Like they're gone. There's no trace. We can't get them. There was one other co-owner of the business, a Caucasian girl, and she now has full ownership of this minority business. And I don't quite know what to do or how to do it or whatever, but it's just like, this is a Black-owned business started by a young Black man because his father was incarcerated and knew how important it was for young African Americans, Black and brown people in this country, right? In this country, to have leadership and somebody to look up to, and somebody who looks like them and say, hey, this is possible. We didn't have the best childhood, right? We were, living in the South and all this other stuff. So it's just like, we know about the bullying and all that. So we need something to lift you up. You want somebody to be like, oh yeah, they did that, I can do that, like inspiration and that sort of thing. So now fast forward, I've asked the company a few times, all of that. I was like, hey, what is the plan for getting some Black teachers in here? Like, what are we doing? There is one Black teacher left, and it's a Black female. And I am so grateful for her. Like, I talk to her all the time. Oh, that so it's just like, where are we going? So we don't want to keep seeing that happen, right? Like, we don't want to keep seeing us work our bones off, right? We don't want to keep working for less than nothing. We're working our fingertips off. We're doing all of this. We're here dedicated every single, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, sometimes Friday, plus late nights, early mornings, dealing with kids, shuffling. We're doing all this for what? For what? Because then if you don't protect your whole legacy and you don't have it protected the right way, why? Because the government and everybody wants you tied up in probate court. They want all this money, right? All of this other stuff. So then what? By the time you get the trust and by the time you get all of your stuff back and you figure all this out, you got like $35. So let's not do that. Let's protect this legacy that we're working hard to build. Like, you can have a trust, and then you don't need to be the millionaire that you're about to be before you have the trust, right? Like, what is that movie? Like, if you build it, they'll come. Like, if you build up your stuff, then it's going to come. It's going to happen, right? So just think about that. So that's what I got. Jess, over to you.
Thank you so much, Kayla. That was phenomenal addition. And so now we're going to transition to the part where we have our lovely guest join us. She has some amazing, amazing insights to share with us today. So our guest for today is the incredible Dana Rowell, and she is your favorite financial coach. Dana specializes in life insurance as well as savings and budgeting. And she's going to be here to drop some gems. She is also a wife and a mother of three. So she is here getting away from her family who's probably running after her to spend some time with us today. Thank you so much, Dana, for joining us. We're happy to have you.
Thank you. Thanks, you guys, for um, having me. I greatly appreciate it. Yes, they are looming in the background. Where you're going? What are you doing? Come on, mom. So, and we are preparing for bedtime in the house. So my husband is taking care of that tonight. So, um, yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you
Hey,
guys
my
for.
husband and hi.
I will let him know that you guys said hello.
Excellent. So we definitely want to kind of ask you some questions for our community so we can learn a little bit more about life insurance and how we can properly protect ourselves. And so I'm going to just go ahead and hand it over to you if you have any intros for us. And then we also have some questions for you as well from the Kathy Gray.
So just like you said with the intro, I am your favorite financial coach. I tell people that my job is to take the taboo out of money, the things that people don't want to talk about. Normally, you know, if there's a lot of debt, if there is like mismanagement, that's normally the types of things that people don't feel comfortable sharing with other people. But I like to get people comfortable and just let them know, if you don't tell anybody, then you can't get help. If your mouth is closed, then you can't find solutions to your needs. And so coming with somebody like myself, very down to earth, not judgmental about it at all. Just want people to be comfortable, because if you get those tools, then you can make those steps to say that I'm doing better, and then find yourself in a place where you are doing better. I'm very passionate about savings. I'm very passionate about budgeting. Those are things that in our community they're not traditionally taught. A lot more of that is happening now, which I'm very excited about. But for a lot of us and our parents, those things were not really stressed. And not for everybody, because there were some who, you know, did well for themselves, but for the most part, it was just those tools that we did not get. And through those passions of being better with my own money, myself and my husband on that journey, life insurance played a big role for us, because we do have three children, and at the time when we embarked on the journey, they were small. And so if there's not a whole lot of cash around, and you have this legacy that you've already created, because you have people that you have already created, they're already here, what's the easiest way to be able to leave something for them if something should happen to you? Life insurance is the easiest way. You pay a small amount of money in comparison to what they cover you for. And if something happens, it gave us an opportunity to put it in place and set it up for our children, that they would be okay should something happen to us. So while you're on your road to building, if something happens, what do you have in place to take care of you? What do you have in place to make sure that everything that you are working hard for, it continues to go on and it continues to move forward, even when you're not here? And so life insurance is a great tool in that way. So just like you said, savings, budgeting, life insurance, those are my favorite areas to talk about. There are other things, but those are the ones that are near and dear to my heart.
So Dana, appreciate it so much. You know, we had a little conversation earlier about it. One of the biggest questions that I know people always ask, what are the top two insurances that we should get, not only for leaving a legacy or something for the family, but something for someone who just needs to get buried?
So you have several types of policies, but most policies, if not all, are going to fall into two categories. So you're going to have a temporary category and you're going to have a permanent category. So for your temporary category of insurance, that's something that, if to use an analogy, it's more like renting a home. You know, when you rent a home, it's nice, you enjoy it, you pay the money while you're there. And then once you're done with that lease, once you're done with that contract, then it's finished, it's done. Um, and then you have your permanent, which is more like home ownership. You pay for
So,
your
excuse me, is that like the whole life?
so whole life is a form of permanent. There are
Okay,
several
okay.
types of permanent insurances. So whole life is one that falls under there. But with those type of insurances, you own them. You pay for your cost of insurance and you pay and there's money that goes and gets stored inside that policy, and that cash value is like equity in your home. It builds up and you can then go back to those policies and take money out of them and use the money for various things. Some people use it to send their kids to school. They use it to start businesses. They use it to pay off debt. There are several things that you can use that money for, but all policies fall within those two categories, either that temporary category or that permanent category. And I think there was something you were talking about as far as when you pass away. So that's called burial insurance or final expense, and that is a form of permanent. So, however, those policies are typically smaller. Um, they are, you can get them from anywhere between 5,000 on the upside, maybe about 60 or 70,000, but those are specifically put in place just to cover funeral costs. So people like to have burial insurance or final expense insurance in conjunction with another policy, because most of those burial policies pay out right away. So you can get those funds normally within a few days of passing away, and then your family's not trying to figure out how to have those services paid for you. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah. So can you give the audience, and we've had this conversation before. Can you tell us the difference between term and what's the positive and negative? And I already know the negative of it, of term life and then whole life. I know we spoke about whole life, but can you mirror those and let everybody know why you should choose one if that's your logic? Again, this is not advice that you guys should do. Dana is the expert. We're just asking a question. We're talking about term life and we're talking about whole life. Can you elaborate more on that? Because you got people that are still young, that are still working, and now we have people that's dying at the age of 5 years old. So it's no longer you making it to 80 years old. So term versus whole life.
So the first thing that I will say is there is no wrong or right when it comes to insurance. Insurance is set based on what your needs are at the time when you need it for you and your family. So there is no wrong or right. Yes, there are pros and cons to both types, and we can talk about the pros and cons. So let's start with term first. So a pro for term is it's usually inexpensive. So if I am a person who is starting out in my journey, let's say I am in my 20s, I'm just joining the workforce. I may not have a lot of money on a monthly basis to put out, but maybe I have young children, or maybe I have a lot of assets that I would like to cover. Term would be a good thing because it's going to give you the bang for the buck. You're going to get a lot of coverage. You're going to spend a little bit of money on it,
Mhm.
and it's going to be more cost effective for you where you are. Now, when you get to the big league where you ladies are and you have the big money, then you can say, you know what, I'm ready to take it up a notch. And so that's when I may want to get into more of the permanent side of things. I have more cash flow that I can put toward it. I'm not going to miss it. My children may be a little older. Life has moved forward. I still have some assets. I may even have more assets, but I want to be able to use some cash value for something for myself later on. So it's not really a matter of wrong or right. It's a matter of what is your situation? What is your scenario at the time when you need it? And for a lot of people, really what they do need is a blend of both. It's a little bit of the term side or a whole lot of the term side, depending on how much you want, because the truth of the matter is when you see people or you hear people around and they're like, yeah, I have millions of dollars worth of coverage. Can that be done on a permanent basis? It absolutely could be, but for a lot, or for the most part, that is done on a temporary basis, because you can get millions and only spend a couple $100s or less than a few $100s if you're young and healthy. You can easily do that. So people, they walk around with this badge of honor, like, I have all of these millions, and people say, wow, that's great. And they're thinking it may be permanent, but it may not be. For the most part, it's not. And then so some of the downside to the permanent we kind of talked about. It's costly. It's going to cost you more to have a permanent policy. It's going to cost you more than having a temporary policy. And that analogy that we gave with renting versus home ownership, yeah, your monthly mortgage might be a little bit less, but think of all the things that you have to take care of when you own a home. All of the responsibilities, all of the fixing, all of the repairs, everything is on you. So overall, that is more of a cost to you. That's exactly how permanent insurance works. It's going to be more of a cost to you. Can it do more for you? Absolutely. Will you have extra benefits as a part of that cash value? Absolutely. But that may not be where you are in terms of affordability. So I definitely want to be clear and let people know there is no wrong, there is no right. It's just sitting with the right person, getting the right information, getting informed about the types of policies that are out there, and then, sorry about that, and then making your best decision on where you are, and knowing that just because you get a policy today does not mean that that is the end. This is something that this is a journey that you can embark on as you go, as you live. Your needs change, your responsibilities change, all of that changes, and your insurance can change with you as you go through.
I'm going to ask this one question, and then I'm going to let my co-host also ask a question. You keep making the statement, and I'm familiar with withdrawing money from the policy. Transparency, my uncle did it to my auntie, which we didn't know. He had then pretty much depleted the policy. Term, I don't believe you can pull from, but is it just whole? Can you explain? Because I don't know which one he pulled from. We just know when we got ready to bury him, it wasn't anything there.
So
It
anytime
was in debt.
sorry about that. So anytime you have the ability to pull cash, that is going to be a permanent policy. Term does not allow you to pull money from a policy. Now, I know sometimes people, they make up things, they may have things looming in the background, but in my level of expertise, term does not have any cash value attached to it. So term is simply, I want to be covered. I want to be covered for this amount, and I want to be covered for this amount of time, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and so forth. That's what I'm looking for. There are living benefits, so that is something that is new to term. And what living benefits is, you can have a term policy that says if you get a chronic, critical, or terminal illness and your lifespan is shortened to under a year, then you can pull some of your death benefit, not cash value, but death benefit from it, and they will help you with any of those disabilities that fall in that category. Now, of course, it has to be medically approved, but that does exist now. But that is different than cash value. I want to be clear.
And can't you also convert a term plan to a cash value later on? Like if you need to start, because I know term is cheaper. So if you need to start there, and then like you said, as your situation changes, you can convert that policy to a cash value policy later, right?
Yes, that is correct. So you just want to make sure that your company does allow conversion, and you will know that at the time of your policy when you get it. But if they allow conversion, then you absolutely can convert your term, and you do not have to convert the whole thing. Let's say you get $1 million worth of term and you say, okay, 5 years later, I'm doing a bit better at my job. I've got a couple raises. I want to now move into permanent. I can take a few $100,000 and convert that into a permanent policy and still leave some of the term left. So some companies are very flexible in that way, but yes, you can do that. You are correct.
Can you do me a favor before we go on? Can you give everyone your information if they want to be able to contact you? Because you're saying, y'all listen, y'all know this the PMM, but it's Women Wednesday. She's dropping some major information because tomorrow I will be calling my INS. Say, look, we need to have a conversation. But can you tell people how they can get a hold to you, your 1-800 number, the website, and what they need to do to get a hold to you? And can you repeat that 2 times so that in case they miss it, spin it 1 and then slow it down twice.
Okay. So I am Dana Rowell. The last name is Rowell. My website is yourfavoritefinancialcoach.com. I am on Instagram at Dana Rowell. I'm also at FAV_financial coach. And then I am also on Facebook at Dana Rowell, which is my full name, DanaRowell. So this time I'm gonna slow it back. I like that. I'm gonna have to use that at church. Bring it back, slow it
Come
back,
on,
and turn it on
Sean.
around. So again, I am Dana Rowell, and I am my website is yourfavoritefinancialcoach.com. I am on Instagram at Dana Rowell and also at FAV_financial coach. And I'm also on Facebook at Dana Rowell. So feel free to reach out to me in any one of those outlets, and I will be sure to get back to you.
Y'all, let me say something. This is amazing. So when we talk about Women Wednesdays, we're not swinging at the ball. We're knocking it out the field. That's all I got to say. So Dana Rowell is the person you need to contact. But we're gonna jump over to Kayla and then back to Lala. Then we're gonna roll into the hands of Jess before we end the show.
I don't have anything. She dropped some bomb. I was like looking stuff up, taking notes. I'm look. I did have a question.
Yes.
Yes, see, like the only question I have is, and I mean, I guess it may vary. I mean, from what Lala was saying, like when you go to convert a plan, is it like a standard thing or it varies based on the plan? Is there a fee? Is there, interest? Like, I don't know. Right. So like, what's that?
So that's going to be first based on your company. You want to keep in mind that when it comes to your insurance, what are the things that make up the cost? So your lifestyle, risk factors, how you live your life, your height, your weight, your diet is going to play a role. If you smoke or not, do you have any pre-existing conditions? All of that plays a role. And so when it's time for conversion, of course, just like any other company, they're going to want to know what's going on with you at that time. Some companies may say, hey, we trust there has not been a lot of time lapse from the time that we have checked in on you. And so you're good. We're just going to allow the conversion to happen. Most companies are going to check in on you and say, hey, how are you doing now? We know that you were healthy 2, 3, 5 years ago, but we just want to make sure that you are still good. And if you are still good, then they will present you with the rate for it. And know that shopping around for insurance is not a bad thing. Sometimes we have issues with loyalty. We stick to companies just because of the name or just because we have history with them, and they're not that loyal to us. So you want to do your due diligence and shop around for what is best for you. Even if it's somebody that you're already with, it does not mean that that can still be the best company moving forward. But there may be some questions when you do go for that conversion, but you do have that option. So be prepared for that. And I would say, I know I offer consultations at no cost to people. Ask somebody if you know someone who carries a life license. Most people carry life and health. So health insurance is another big thing that is getting people this marketplace, and you have to have it, and it's expensive, and people don't really understand the process, but they don't want to be dinged with taxes and all of that. Ask questions. Look for people who have consultations and they're willing to sit down with you and speak with you and clarify. Get your terms clear. I saw you guys are taking notes. You've shown your notes. Take notes. Use Google if you really are unsure and you feel like you can't ask anybody, or I know some people like to feel more equipped before they have a conversation with somebody. See what you find there, but then go and fact check that with someone who's actually in the industry and actually working it and doing this on a consistent basis.
Okay, perfect. I have another question. What would you say for like people who have, or what's the difference or whatever? Because all of my policies, well, I mean, except for like one that I used to have and played with, whatever. I don't know how, whatever I did with that. But most of them have been with my jobs because I stay on my jobs for like a long time. So, I do the buy up, and we talked about this earlier and all of that other stuff, but I guess pros, cons, differences, like when I leave my job, what happens is they're like, oh, I see ya. Or, what if I had a pre-existing condition? I didn't have one when I started, 10 years ago, but then I developed one. And so now to the new people, I have one, but then I didn't before, right? So
Gotcha.
those are a lot of things that were swirling in my head.
Okay. So let's tackle the job first. Most policies belong to your workplace. You get to participate as an employee. When you separate from the job, you do not get to participate anymore. So people will say, I have coverage. Okay, I have it through my job. Have you ever asked your job or asked HR, if I separate from this place of employment, do I get to continue to have this? Some of them will say yes. You want to take it a step further and say, will my cost be the same? Because for a lot of people, when you look at your pay stub, you see that $1.12, or you see that $1.50, or that $2 or $3. That's because you are participating in a group policy. There's hundreds of you participating in this policy. And so the job is offered that discount because they have so many people. But that master certificate, that belongs to the job. And if you don't belong to them anymore, more than likely, you cannot take that with you. So you want to have, and this is definitely something that I strongly suggest, you want to have something that you own that belongs to you. Because if you are a person and you do 5 years here, 10 years there, you may do 20 years. When you get to the end of that 20 years, you are 20 years older. And you are now applying for insurance at that 20-year older mark when you could have had it 20 years previous. So the best time would have been today, but the next best time is tomorrow. You want to get that done. So if anybody has questions about the workplace, most certainly go and ask questions about it. Go and inquire about it, but start looking for something on the outside, because you want to have something that you own and is not dictated to you by your employer.
Yeah, so I wanted, and I know I had another question or whatever, but I wanted to ask that because a lot of people don't realize that, right? Because I do say, like if you can upgrade, upgrade. If you got an employer policy, upgrade while you can, right? But
Absolutely.
that's with, but that's them, right? That's your little dollar. You can upgrade whatever, whatever. So, but we always talk about Jess and saying, hey, let Jess level up your career, right? Like get your resume, get your LinkedIn, all of this other stuff. So we are expecting you to change jobs occasionally, right?
Yeah.
So obviously you don't own that policy. And just like you said, whether you change jobs every 6 months or every 6 years, it doesn't matter. You're still older. You're 6 months older. You're 6 years older. So that is something that I think people need to understand and realize. All right, go ahead. I don't even remember my other questions, but you probably do. So go ahead.
And so your job does, whatever company that participates with your job, they will have features of upgrade as well. They will try to get you to participate outside of your job and get something individual with them. That is not uncommon. To that, I will say, do your homework, get quotes. They are out here. They may not give you the best rate because, again, you're stepping outside of that group rate. So those small dollar amounts, okay, well, now you want something that's specific and direct to you, then it may be a more significant amount from a monthly basis for you. So you just want to make sure that you are doing your homework with any upgrades. Like I said, whether it's with a company that you are already with, or if this is someone new, you want to make sure that you are doing your homework. You want to make sure that you're comparing prices and that you're getting all questions that you have. When you go into your policy, you want your questions to be completely answered without a shadow of a doubt. It's nothing like getting into something and you're not sure or you don't completely understand, because there can be a lot of regret behind that.
Wow, you guys, PMM, we here. It's the ladies. It's Wednesday. It's Women's Wednesday. And what we're doing is we're showing you not only how to lay it out, but how to put you in the grave and be put there properly. Not that we're catching you in, but showing you how life can be easy on those that you leave behind. And no, I do not think it's fair that you leave a bill, but this is an opportunity. Instead of coming up with $15,000, you can spend less than $25 to $30, depending on what your health is. and for that policy. And Ms. Rowell is here to help us. But now I'm going to slowly pass this over to Jess so we can have some more reset real quick before we go into the second half and our closure.
Awesome. Thanks everyone again for joining, and welcome to Women's Wednesday, aka Women's Takeover with the PreMarket Movers. We are here today with the amazing Dana Rowell, and we are talking about insurance and how to protect yourself and your family in the event of anything, your demise, maybe a graduation, maybe your child wants to get a home in the future, how to really turn your coverage into an asset. So Dana's here with us. She's sharing some gems, dropping some really actionable steps as well that you can take to protect yourself and your family. So make sure that if you are just joining us, that you go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you're enjoying the conversation today, and definitely make sure that you tap in with Dana so she can get you right. She offers free consultations. So if you want to learn more, definitely make sure that you connect with her, especially if you're in the Philly area. We got a 215 gal here in the building today. Thank you, Dana. So we're going to move on to the second half. Definitely, once again, make sure you like and subscribe. Connect with us. Reach out if you guys have any questions. I do have a question for you. Well, not really a question for you, Dana, but I wanted to know if you can expand on the importance of getting coverage while you're young. And the reason I wanted to kind of really ask you to build on that, I have had life insurance policies on and off. When I was married, my husband and I, we had a policy, and when we got divorced, that I don't know what happened to it, but it no longer existed. So I had to go off and get my own policy. But in the midst of that happening, we both had a significant amount of coverage. And when that was canceled in the midst of our separation, within that time period, before he was able to transition to a new policy, he ended up getting very ill. And at 34 years old, he is deemed by insurance companies as uninsurable because he now has a condition that could potentially be life-threatening. And now anytime he would try to get a new policy, would be deemed a pre-existing condition. Can you expand on why that's important, even if you are in your youth, you don't think you need one, you're just getting your life started? Why is that still so important for people to prioritize?
So, well, sorry to hear that, because no one wants to be in their 20s or 30s and getting diagnosis. I think one of the misinformed things is we believe that people get sick when they're old, and that's what we're used to seeing. Someone is healthy, they get into maybe their 60s and 70s, and we've seen with our parents and grandparents, that's kind of when things start to happen. But more and more we are seeing younger people being diagnosed with hypertension, younger people being diagnosed with diabetes, and it's really all centered around our intake, our diets, how we live life. We're constantly running and moving and shaking and not really taking care of ourselves. And so as a younger generation, we do need to pay attention to when we start to adult. That's what people call it, adulting. And life insurance is a huge part of adulting. You want to do it as early as possible. You are the healthiest yesterday. That's literally what it is. That was the healthiest you. As life goes on and you get older, our bodies naturally, our metabolism slow down. Now, granted, there are people out here who take care of themselves, but in a general sense, your metabolism starts to slow down. You can't do things that you're used to do anymore. And all of that plays a role in the cost of your life insurance. And so you are able to get a policy on a baby at 14 days old. As soon as a social security number is assigned, you are able to get a policy. A lot of people are unaware of that. A lot of us are unaware of that, but there are people who are doing it. Like, they're very excited. So your baby shower gift, instead of it being some cute booties and everything, oh, you have a social security number. Let's get you a cute little policy that you can have. And I don't know if you guys, your grandparents had those little Gerber policies for you. Grandma might have had one for everybody. It was about $5,000. Everybody might have had one. You might have had a few cousins, your siblings, and everything like that. But they understood you can get insured at a very early age. It is needed because we do not all live to be in our 60s and 70s and 80s. And it's important to have it because it's going to cost you. It's going to be the least expensive the younger you are. Age is a huge, huge factor when it comes to insurance. That is not to say that it will be super cheap depending on the type of policy that you have, but it will be inexpensive for you at 20 than it will be for you at 30. It'll be inexpensive for you at 15 than it would be for you at 45. There's a lot of things that happen between 30 and up, I can tell you. Getting close to 40, a lot has changed than what it was 20 years ago. And so because age plays such a major role, you want to do that as early as possible. And when I see a lot of younger people, just in my city alone with the violence, people are not prepared. They don't have the coverage. And so here comes your fish fry. Here comes your GoFundMe. Here come all of these things that is just like, you could have gotten a little bit of coverage. Everybody's not going to have $1 million. You don't have to have that. That's okay. Have enough to be able to get put into the ground. If your lifestyle increases and life changes, you can always get more. But getting it early and getting something is better than having absolutely nothing at all. And we make sacrifices for so many things. We love brunch. We love hanging out. We love having a good time. We love to spend money. We like to buy clothes. We like to buy all those things. But life insurance and protection, it really matters. I tell people, do not let your family grieve and beg at the same time. It's not good. It's not a good
Dana,
feeling.
I'm so happy you said that. And I want to use this scenario and also making a connotation to the people. Life insurance is like car insurance. You're not allowed to drive legally without it. They will not allow you to drive legally, nor you can't even register it. So think of it like that. If you want to drive around and protect your children with your body.
Yeah.
Because I believe that is so important, so important. My grandchildren all have life insurance policies, all of them. The youngest one now, I think she's 4 months old. Every last one of them got money from us. Every last one of them. And I got a stipulation. You got to be 25 with a bachelor's or 30. And you get 30, if you don't have nothing, that money stays there. And I use it as a hold for them that they will get something because my niece got $350,000 that my brother left her and she was broke in less than 9 months and had nothing to show for it because he let her have it at the age of 18. You know, buying a car, hanging out with friends, buying Apple products, living in expensive hotels and traveling. Folks, you know what? 1 year later, she was broke. And I believe people should take this, and I'm for sure you guys probably give consultations and, suggestions, or you have example packages. So those that are listening, I want you guys to hear, we are the PMM Pre-Market Movers. It's Women's Wednesday, baby. Taking over. Yes, we are showing out. And we got Dana Rowell here with us. She's talking to you how to manifest your life after you're gone with your children, which is with insurance. Dana, give them a few more tips that we pass on. As you begin to leave, give them some things, at least 3 tips that they should use when looking for insurance.
Hey, Dana, real quick, before you get to that, I do want to say also, like what Kathy was saying on a personal note, make sure you reach out to, especially if you're really confused, like if you don't have anything at all, reach out to Dana. You heard her contact information. And I'll say, like, we did the whole, like, I was the one, I had to be there. I had to create the GoFundMe. I had to work with the police. I had to do the investigations. I had to go to the funeral. Because I am the middle of 5, right? So there's 4 of us now, but I was the middle of 5, and it was
me
on.
too.
And I have 3 daughters, so. So, yes, whenever I had to take all that on, I didn't have to, but it was like, the way I handle grief and the way other people do, like it takes me a little bit longer to like start processing it. It was hard because then whenever my body was ready to process it, it was like a whole different thing. But just like what Dana said, you don't want to have to like beg and be burying somebody. Like this was my baby brother. Like this is my baby brother. This is my December buddy, like all this other stuff. And it was like, I still had to pull it together and hold it together, right? While doing all this, figure out a GoFundMe. His funeral was over $20,000, right? And I had to put $10,000 of that on my credit card. And nobody, like, and if I didn't set things up before, like if I wasn't even in a position to do that, what would happen? I mean, we could have probably reduced the funeral costs and all of that, right? But it's like, we wanted to get his casket wrapped in his company name, like to show all of his kids and, you know, like all of this stuff. Like it wasn't just some, you know, it's a lot that goes into it. Like, and if you haven't ever buried, you know, people say you don't know until you know. And that just like get with Dana, get with somebody, get with Google, get comfortable. I don't care what you got to get with, but get, after you get comfortable, then get your educated guesses, like then get the educated answers. Get with Dana. She's going to give you some things here, just 3 quick things. But, you know, please reach out to somebody. It doesn't matter. You know, I'm sure Dana will even say, if you don't want to call me, just call somebody else. Just get the information, because fear holds us back too much. And what is the point of fear? Like, then what? Then we talked about this on the show the other day, like your DNA, it alters. So why are we doing undue stress? Like, why are we doing this to ourselves? Right? It doesn't even make sense. So it's like, I think about, guess what could I have done if I would have put $10,000 in Tesla back in 2021? Who knows, right? But that was on a credit card, because that was the balance that had to get taken up on a credit card because people failed to plan, right? And we all know that. So go ahead, David. Thank you.
So definitely one of my tips is just spot on with what you said. Do your homework, do your research, get with somebody, talk to somebody, reach out to somebody like myself. If I'm not the person, reach out to somebody, but get your understanding. Learn what the types of policies are, figure out what's best for you, and let somebody help you get that in place. That's going to be most important. The second thing that I would give is talk to your family members, because if it's you, then somebody has to do that for you. But when it's your family members, like you said, this was my baby brother. I would never see any of my siblings not be buried the way that I felt they deserved it should happen. But what does that do? It stresses your family. It stresses your children. If you have a spouse, it stresses your spouse. Don't be the breadwinner and then something happens, because that's a whole nother set of issues that comes into play.
Right.
We ask people, do you want your family's life to be better, the same, or worse when you leave here? Everybody says better, but do you take the steps to make it better? Because for a lot of people, the reality is it gets worse. It gets very dark. And for somebody like you had it, so you were able to pick up the slack. But there are a lot of families who do not have it at all. And so you're like, hey, why is Mike's funeral 60 days from now? Yeah, somebody's looking for money somewhere. Somebody's trying to figure it out. Why is it that, I thought we were going to have, this type of casket or that type of thing, but we don't have anything at all? Or what's going on, when we should just be sitting around in a grief process? I want my family to just be able to grieve, because, hey, you're losing something great. Take the time, relax and think on it. But don't be in a situation where you have to put your grief to the side or bury it, because you have to be in front of other people begging about helping somebody get something done that they should have been responsible enough to handle while they were here. In life insurance, it's talked about everywhere. There's a reason that when you get a job, they ask you about these benefits. There's a reason. And when you're talking to the right people and you're in the right circles, the right things come up. And so don't be afraid to speak to your family members. Don't be afraid to speak to your parents. I talk to my siblings. I send out a text. I'm in a group text with my siblings and my adult nieces and nephews. Hey, listen, anytime I hear about a GoFundMe, I just heard about another GoFundMe, make sure that you're covered. Make sure that somebody here is your beneficiary. Make sure it's somebody that's responsible, somebody that you trust, somebody that's going to do right by the money. Make sure that you have a will in place. Write it down, get it notarized, however you need to get it done. Even if you can't get it done to the highest professional level, just do it. It matters. It's important. Everyone has an estate. I can't stress it again enough. Everyone has an estate. There is no I don't have anything. No, you have something. Everybody has something. There's something to be said. There's some type of medical directives. There's some type of something that needs to be said. So make sure you're looking after those things. And then the third thing that I will say is once you found the person, once you have had the conversations with your family, go together for anybody who doesn't have it. Hey, listen, I heard about you. I heard you talking. I got me here. I got my siblings here. I got my parents here. I have my aunts, my uncles. We get together for family dinners and we talk about nonsense things. Sometimes we talk about fun stuff, all of that. Let's have fun around making lives better for the next generation. Let's have a group conversation. I don't know if other people who are licensed are open to it, but I'm absolutely open to it. Let's have a family conversation. Who's covered? How are they covered? Where are the documents? Where can they find them? You can have a box, the firebox within your house. You can have it at a bank locked in. You can have electronic vaults, but making sure that things are in place and that we're having these conversations as families so that it gets better. That's the only way that it gets better. If you are in your family and you are doing well by yourself and you're a lone man on the island and everybody else is suffering, have that conversation with everybody. Get everybody on the same page. Get everybody informed. Don't be afraid to preach to people about doing the right thing. And covering yourself is one of the right things to do. So if there are any tips, those would definitely be the top notch. And I'll say as the icing to the cake, you do not have to fear having a conversation with me. I am the most down to earth person to talk about any of these things because I know what it feels like to be there. I know what it feels like to not have a savings. I know what it feels like to not budget. I know what it's like to not have a policy. And the person who helped me was very open for me and it was life changing for me and my family. And so I make sure that in my crusade and in my mission that I make it as comfortable as possible for people.
Great. I'm so excited. I appreciate you so much. Again, can you give the people your location, which means how they can contact you? I want you to speed it up, then slow it down and come back and rewind it again so they can get it. And then after she completes, I want to first of all say thank you so much. Definitely appreciate you coming to our show because we're the women that's taking over. We're going to take over for real.
I know that's
And
right.
that some. Appreciate you so much. Onto your hand and then over to Jess. Thank you so much for joining our show.
So I want to thank you guys again for extending the invitation and have me. It is nothing more important than women, strong women getting together, building each other up, uplifting each other, educating one another. It's a beautiful thing. I thoroughly enjoy it. So I thank you guys for having me. Again, my website, yourfavoritefinancialcoach.com. I am Dana Rowell on Instagram. I'm also your fave, FAV _financial coach on Instagram and Dana Rowell on Facebook as well. And I'm going to slow it down this time. So it's your YOUR favorite financial coach.com on Instagram, Dana Rowell. And my business page is your FAV fave _financial coach. And then I'm also Dana Rowell on Facebook. And I share tons of information, even if it's not for me, just so that people can be informed. So I appreciate you guys.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. And
Right, Jess.
before we let you go, definitely wanted to once again thank you so much for this phenomenal conversation you had with us. I think a lot of people are going to find value in this, and I think it was necessary because some people are, probably thinking about it and dragging their feet, but I think it says something profound about where we are as a society where it's so quick and easy to get insurance for your AirPods or insurance for your MacBook or insurance for your car. And we're so conditioned to go and do these things, but we neglect and drag our feet to get coverage for the most important asset, which is you. So I really, really cannot thank you enough for having this conversation, and definitely appreciate you and all of the gems that we shared. So everybody definitely make sure if you are someone that's inquiring about coverage that you absolutely reach out to Dana. And we appreciate you all for joining us today and coming to our show. And one last thing, everyone, we are going to be doing a fundraiser as the PreMarket Movers as well. We're going to be partnering with an organization called Blast, and you will hear a little more about that soon. We will be working with Dr. Marlene Carson, who works with the United States Department, the Board for Human Trafficking. So she'll be able to come and tell us a little bit about how we can support Blast and how we can support victims of sex and human trafficking, and hear a little bit more about next steps there. So stay tuned for our next episode, and we will see you all soon. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for coming.